Hello, it's Becky Ryan here from Novum Law, and I'm joined by Mavis Nye, mesothelioma campaigner and self-proclaimed meso warrior, to talk about her experiences and treatments following her diagnosis back in 2009. Hi, Mavis.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for joining us today. To start, it would be very helpful if you could describe the symptoms you were experiencing before you were diagnosed with mesothelioma.
You don't honestly get many symptoms. I've lived it, so it took 48 years to come out, and that's a long time. And I was a very, very fit. And so we went to Benidorm. Well, no, first of all, sorry, I burnt my arm and it was really numb. And I didn't feel the burn. And someone said to me, "What have you done to your arm?" I said, "Oh, I burnt my arm on the iron." And so that was all numb and my hands were funny. So I did go to the doctor for that. He sent me for an x-ray. I went to Benidorm and to see my son. And I'm gradually walking down to Benidorm. I gradually couldn't walk up the hill very far. And I was getting lower and lower and sitting on the wall, lower and lower. But it wasn't until I actually come home and I went to vote and I couldn't walk up there. I just couldn't breathe. I completely lost my breath. And I came back home. And as I did so my doctor was phoning me. And he said, "Get yourself to A&E." He said, "The x-ray shows a big mass." And that's when they drained 7 litres of fluid off of me.
When you first went to your local GP, and what did they think might be wrong with you?
He said I had a trapped ulnar nerve. But later he said I really threw a wobbly because I was pointing at my arm and he was dealing with that numbness. He didn't realise it was my lung. Because it's all the nerves, they're all joined together, aren't they? So it's because of the nerves in my arm and the meso growing on my nerves that my arm becomes numb.
What happened after you were referred to the hospital?
So when they drained the fluid,
yes.
They then test that fluid, and then the doctor came round to me and saw me, and he said that you've got mesothelioma. And I said, "I don't know what that is." And he said, "Well, it is because of a cancer in the lung lining." And he said, "You've got 2 or 3 months to live. Go home and put your affairs in order." And that's the sort of shock you get.
Absolutely, yes, yeah. And when you were given the news that you had mesothelioma, I appreciate you were shocked, but how did you feel to have got that diagnosis?
I didn't know what it was, mesothelioma, and I came home. I couldn't even say it, and I came home and Googled, which you shouldn't do, of course, because they sent me home, and then they were going to take me up to the London hospital, and they do the biopsy, and they put talc in and stick the line into the lung. But in the meantime, I'm home here, putting my affairs in order. I threw all the clothes out. I said, "I won't need clothes if I've got cancer. I'm going to lose weight, so all these clothes can go," and I chucked clothes out. And I ordered all new electrical gear here for Ray because I wanted him to be safe and know what he was using, and everything was going to be all right here. I took down the neck curtains because I said, "Ben, don't wash neck curtains." And I kind of went into a overdrive of making sure the home was all right. It's just a weird thing that I did.
Knowing that mesothelioma is caused by asbestos exposure, how did you link your cancer to your husband Ray's work on ships at the Chatham Dockyard over 50 years ago?
Once they said it was asbestos, we knew that Ray had worked with asbestos way back, and all his friends were gradually dying. All his workmates were dying, and they all had lung cancer. So we just knew it was lung cancer. The asbestos caused lung cancer. We didn't know it was a specific cancer.
After your diagnosis, what treatment were you given?
Well, it was mainly chemotherapy at the start, and I had 4 years of chemotherapy. With platinum and Prevadexit, we call it a limiter, is the basic one, and that's the licensed one. So I had 4 years of chemo until I became too toxic.
So I understand that was in May 2014. So you were admitted to the Royal Marsden for a clinical trial of a new immunotherapy drug called Keytruda. What happened then?
Well, because I'd always been chasing the trials. I became a patient rep, and every meeting I said, anything for mesothelioma, sorry, Mavis. No, it was always for a small lung, for ordinary cancer, I call it. And so then Dean Fennell said to me, get yourself to the Royal Marsden. There is a trial there that I think will suit you. And yes, that was a 3475, which is immunotherapy. And there was 3 of us. It was the first time they'd used it on us. They were testing it on 28 cancers. And lucky enough, they gave 3 places to mesothelioma. And so there's 3 of us. But the other 2 sadly died, but I carried through and had complete response.
What's your situation now?
Now it's been it came back after 2 years. I really thought I'd done it. I really thought I'm the one that's been cured. This is it, but it came back after 2 years and started to regrow. So Dean Fennell told me to go to the Royal Marsden, and there was a trial, MK475, and it was immunotherapy, and it's the first time it's in the UK. And they tested it they wanted to test it on 28 cancers, but they did actually allow 3 places for mesothelioma. The other 2 patients, though, sadly died, and then I carried through to complete response.
How important are clinical trials for mesothelioma patients?
Yes. I find clinical trials are so needed. We need more research and more clinical trials. And gradually, where they were only testing it on just a few, I became part of the confirmed trial, and there were over 300 cases on that confirmed trial, and that's just brilliant. That's the sort of trials we need, more patients, so that we can really test it. And now the confirmed trial is nivolumab, that they are now giving, because it was so good in trials, they've allowed it in the COVID time because people don't want chemo, and so it needed a drug really to help, and because the immune system dropped so low in chemo, and so they've allowed us a drug, so we finally got a treatment.
As specialists in asbestos disease, Novum Law is seeking to drive awareness of the significant rise in mesothelioma cases in women. Why do you feel this is important?
Because it's an old man's disease. They always say it's an old man's disease. And there's us women. I'm a secondary patient, really. So there's more women like me that have washed clothes. They've not actually worked with it. So it's becoming where women are now getting it through DIY, and they're out in the workplace now more. So therefore they're in contact with asbestos, and people don't realise that. And then you've got women working now with it. You've got women are asbestos removals. They're doing so well, women are in this world. But there they are, putting themselves in danger.
Do you think the fact that because mesothelioma has traditionally been linked more with men means that healthcare professionals don't necessarily think, could it be mesothelioma when diagnosing women?
Exactly, that's right. The GPs, I think, need to be trained more into asbestos and mesothelioma, and they should always ask, if someone's having difficulty breathing, don't say, did you smoke? Ask, have you ever come in contact with asbestos? And they might be surprised if so many women have.
Do you think more needs to be done to raise awareness of mesothelioma and women at a GP level? And if so,
Yes.
what else?
Well, yes, I do. I really think that it is a GP And also some of the oncologists are still saying that there are no trials. Go home and put yourself in order, your house in order. You know, they're not keeping up with the trials. I'm not talking about the large hospitals, the smaller hospitals. Some of the oncologists there are not keeping up with the times, really. I know that is improving because we've been shouting for such a long time. You know, we go to different meetings and conferences, and we always sort of ask questions there. So gradually they are learning that, yes, there is women, and yes, we are getting mesothelioma.
Yes, definitely, yeah. And is there anything else we should be doing as a society to raise awareness of the dangers of asbestos, and in particular mesothelioma in women?
Yes, I do. We are actually, we've got Action Meso Day, and where it was always small and in each town small, we're trying to bring it all in under one umbrella so that we've got everybody coming in and they're all really excited about it. We've got oncologists and we've got the asbestos training and everything coming together under one umbrella so that we can then scream a bit louder at the government and let's have more awareness.
And how can women with mesothelioma connect with others like themselves?
Well, Facebook, it's just brilliant. And that's where I found it anyway. And we came in on Facebook and found that there were other people on there and we all came together. And Debbie Brewer actually was the leader of it all at the time, but she died and she begged me to carry on. And that's what I do. I carry on my different groups. I built all the groups right up. So we're worldwide now, really. And when, say someone joins me overnight from the US, then I point them to the US groups and to Mark. If they're Australian, then it's Australian. We're sort of like a signposter, really. But yeah, we've got this lovely group going.
Well, Mavis, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your mesothelioma journey. We do wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.